Welcome to the resumption of Freedom Watch's YouTube transmissions. We used to do these YouTubes. We're still going to do them, not just our podcasts every day at freedomwatchusa.org, but video as well. Today, the Democrats held a hearing with regard to January 6th. They are not telling the truth to the American people about the causes of January 6th, and that's what was absent. The cause is Congress itself and the corruption in the other two branches of government. On January 6th, the people rose up generally peacefully and legally. There were some bad people on both sides, but the overwhelming majority, over 90%, were peaceful Americans who had had it. They had seen the rank corruption in all three branches of government, particularly the federal judiciary, which refused to even address as a lawsuit, without even making a conclusion or a finding, whether or not there were election irregularities and fraud such that Biden was not properly elected president, rather Donald Trump was. That was an open question. The courts wouldn't even do that. Trump's own Supreme Court justices that he bragged about threw him under the bus and threw their lot with the Washington establishment, the boudoirs of Georgetown. Now, the FBI is out, being used by Biden and Harris as their own Gestapo, as well as the left, which props them up, to scare everyone into submission. So you can no longer speak what you believe to be the truth, so you can no longer act, and if you don't like it, they'll break into your house, just as they did our client Siaka Massaquoi, at 5:45 a.m. in the morning, handcuff you in front of your best friend and their kids, who wasn't even in Washington that day. Siaka was there peacefully. Take you outside, cuff you again. When Siaka asks to talk to a lawyer, that's denied. They interrogate him, and then they take all of his property, his computer, his cell phone, and everything else, and won't give it back. Well, I represent Siaka Massaquoi in this matter, and we filed a class action suit just the other day. He did, pro se. I'll be moving in pro hac vice in the U.S. District Court for the Central District of California. I want you to read that and go to freedomwatchusa.org. Because even though the courts are compromised and corrupt, we hope that we'll find that one good judge that will put his foot down, that will do the right thing for the American people. Even though, as Thomas Jefferson said, federal judges and Supreme Court justices, unelected, unaccountable to the people, would become despots and tyrants, causing patriots and tyrants to shed their own blood yet again every 20 years or so, adding that what's a few thousand dead to refresh the Tree of Liberty. Jefferson didn't want to see anybody hurt or dead. Neither do I, neither do you. But unless we act, unless we rise up, unless we use the tools that we have to wage a peaceful and legal revolution, that's where this country is likely headed. And that's the prophecy of Jefferson that he wanted to fend off. And for that reason, Freedom Watch, on July 5th and 6th of this year, held its third Continental Congress in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to discuss how we can save this country from the radical forces of the left, the radical Muslims, the radical members of the Marxian Jewish left. And I'm Jewish myself, so you can't accuse me of being anti-Semitic. The left can't accuse me. The radical feminists, the radical gays, lesbians, transgenders, the radical atheists, the radical blacks. Most people in these groups are good and decent people. They can live their life the way they want to lead their life. That's what's called liberty and freedom. As long as they don't push it on other people, and as long as they don't impose their concept of what this country is all about on everybody else. These radicals are socializing, communizing, and atheizing this country. They have created a major and dangerous race war, calling effectively all white people racist from birth, white domestic terrorists. And now you even hear not just the alleged president of the United States, Joe Biden, but the FBI director referring to the biggest threat in this country is white domestic terrorism, meaning white people. Now, ironically, when you listen to Biden, the guy's so brain dead, he probably doesn't even know he's white. So I guess he qualifies as a white domestic terrorist from birth. This is what is leading this country today. And therefore, we need to rise up. I want you to tune in to our Third Continental Congress, which is continuing this Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, and watch, because Our delegates are coming back, they're coming to speak. The people that came there to participate are going to have their 2 cents, and I want you to participate and provide your idea on how we get out of the spiral that we are in, which has created a situation where the country is 90% dead. We're on our back. We're gasping for air. We look at our streets. Look at people being attacked. Even the loony leftist Barbara Boxer yesterday was attacked in Sausalito, California. She was attacked and just was walking down the street from her condominium or whatever she has there. And it's severe. We're getting our border flooded with immigrants day in and day out that are illegal, drug traffickers, human traffickers. COVID has gone up 900% of those who are crossing the border, and now our rights are being restricted yet again and being told to wear masks even for people that had vaccines. And of course, it's questionable whether the vaccines even work. We know the golfer John Rahm, for instance, who was disqualified in a tournament. It cost him $1.6 million, the memorial, because he tested positive, got the second shot, and now he was supposed to go to the Olympics, and he got COVID again and was disqualified from the Olympics. The government cannot be trusted. You can't believe a word they tell you. It's a lot like lawyers, and I'm telling you as a lawyer myself at 44 years, going on 45. If lawyers are moving their mouth, they're generally lying. And that's why I became the anti-lawyer. That's why I founded Judicial Watch and now Freedom Watch. I run Freedom Watch now. I left Judicial Watch in 2003 to run for the Senate in my home state of Florida. So I want you to go to freedomwatchusa.org. I want you to get my book, It Takes a Revolution, Forget the Scandal Industry. I provide legal and peaceful means to wage a second American revolution. At this point, it's a counter-revolution because the left has totally taken control of our lives and squelched our freedoms. And I want you to tune in to our Third Continental Congress and our citizens' grand juries. We've already indicted Joe Biden, his son Hunter, and his brother James. We're about ready to indict Fauci. That'll be at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on Thursday, and then going into the Third Continental Congress at 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Eastern. Please tune in. Join Freedom Watch's Justice League. We just don't get documents. We take hard-hitting action. Documents are fine, but if you don't use them to bring about justice, and we get documents too, then this country is going down for the count. It's like you're sitting on the deck of the Titanic listening to the music playing as the ship of state has hit the rock bottom. Remember that the Father and Son will only help us if we help ourselves, like our founding fathers did in 1776. We need to invoke their divine providence because we can, with their God-given help and our God-given rights, reclaim this country from the evil forces of the left. Thank you for listening to me. I'll be back tomorrow with another special YouTube podcast, as well as my morning radio broadcast, a podcast on radioamerica.com, which you can find at freedomwatchusa.org. Thank you for listening to me.